Hi, my name is Diane Bowen, and this is the third video in the Zodiac BOM Pattern Walkthrough series. In this video, I will walk you through the pattern templates and the cutting templates and explain the difference between the two and how they are used. Let's begin by looking at the basic coloring page for the Aquarius block found on page 8 of the Aquarius pattern. This is basically the outline of what your finished block will look like. I will refer to each individual shape within the block as a section. The finished block is created by assigning each section a piece of fabric and sewing them together on a foundation, which can be paper, fabric, or some other kind of material. This quilting method, known as foundation paper piecing, makes it possible to get these sharp points and lines in the design. The included coloring pages are a fabulous resource to use in helping you plan out your block design, including color and fabric placement. Now let's turn to the coloring page on page 9. This is a labeled coloring page and depicts the 4 block sections that make a complete block. Block A, Block B, Block C, and Block D. Each block is repeated 4 times to create the finished block. The number of blocks in a pattern will vary from pattern to pattern. Each block is then further labeled with a number, which represents the piecing order, which I will go over in more detail in the paper piecing tutorial video. The number is followed by a letter which represents the fabric placement. To more fully understand the fabric placement, refer to the Fabric Requirement section on page 4 of the Aquarius pattern. Here you can see how each letter represents a different design element of the finished block. These letters are suggestions only and do not need to be followed in the manner I have labeled them. I encourage you to play around with the blank coloring pages to come up with a design that fits your unique style, and then use the labeled coloring page as a guide in helping you assign your fabrics and transfer your design to the pattern templates. Now let's take a closer look at the pattern templates. If you have foundation paper pieced before, these won't be new to you. If you haven't, I will explain these quickly here and demonstrate them in more detail in a following video. There is one pattern template for each block section of the pattern. Each pattern template has a shaded border around it. This area is the seam allowance and is 1/4 inch. If you scale your pattern, you will need to remeasure the seam allowance as it will no longer be an accurate 1/4 inch. Each template is labeled with the pattern name, size, and block. The pattern templates are made up of multiple sections that are labeled with a number which refers to the piecing order. You sew or piece your fabrics in order, starting with the lowest number to the highest number. In this example, you will start with 1, then 2, then 3, and so on. In these patterns, the numbers are followed by a lowercase letter. As mentioned earlier, the letters correspond with the fabric placement to help you know where to place which fabric. The lines between the sections are the guide where you will sew your fabric. You piece your fabric to the back side of the paper, flip the pattern over so the fabric side is down and the print side is up, and sew on the lines. While the lines are not numbered for sewing order, they follow the same order as the piecing order. First, you sew on the line between sections 1 and 2. Next, sew on the line between sections 2 and 3, and so on. After you've pieced all the sections on a pattern template, you trim it down using the outer edge of the seam allowance as a guide, being sure to leave an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance. Some pattern designers do not include the seam allowance on their patterns, so it is important to pay attention to that when using other patterns. After trimming the sections, you join the different sections together to create the finished block. In all of the Zodiac BOM patterns, you will need to print 4 copies of each pattern section or block to create one finished block. In the Aquarius pattern, this is blocks A through D. Be sure to print them at 100% or no scale to get the accurate size. When you cut these out prior to piecing, you do not need to cut them out exactly. I actually prefer to leave a small border on them. I've found that it makes it easier to trim them accurately after I've pieced them. Cutting templates are used to cut out the fabric for each corresponding section of the pattern. There are so many benefits when using cutting templates, including, but not limited to, minimizing fabric waste, perfect fussy cutting, speeding up the paper piecing process, and more efficient and accurate paper piecing. As you look at each cutting template, you can see that it is labeled with the corresponding pattern name, the block, and section. The lowercase letters correspond to the fabric placement and is based on a predetermined block design. While these letters are a good reference guide, they are suggestions only. Feel free to explore your own creativity to make something you love. The most basic way to use the cutting templates is as follows. Lay your fabric print side up on your cutting mat. Place the cutting template print side up on top of the fabric where you want to cut out your fabric for that section. Cut exactly around the cutting template, and there you go. This method alone can be tedious and time-consuming, especially when making a block with many sections. In the next video, I will share with you all of my tips and tricks for using cutting templates to make the cutting process more efficient and more enjoyable. Because really, who wants to spend all of their time cutting out fabric? Thank you for watching this video series, the Zodiac BOM Pattern Walkthrough. I hope you found the information helpful for understanding my patterns. The next set of videos will be the Zodiac BOM video tutorials, where I will walk you through all of my tricks and tips for using cutting templates, my process for foundation paper piecing, and how I join the block sections to create a finished quilt block. Until then, happy quilting and happy creating.